Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 62 of Codename Kids Next Door, Operation Spankenstein. We begin this segment at Plush Meadows Stuffed Animal Cemetery, where we see a grave for a posh party rainbow monkey has been dug up. We also hear some narration in the form of number 2 recapping the events of the Season 4 segment, Operation Clues, confirming that this particular posh party rainbow monkey is the very same one that Mushi Sanban stabbed with a fork. Number 2's narration also reveals that Mushi has been grounded for life because of her actions in that Season 4 segment. We then head to the Sanban Home, where we see Count Spankulot enter Mushi's room, and he intends to spank Mushi because of her actions in Operation Clues. But Mushi has anticipated Count Spankulot's arrival, and she springs a trap on the unsuspecting spank-happy vampire. In the kitchen of the Sanban home, we see Connie is in the middle of trying to make some sundaes, and he can hear the noise in Mushi's room, but he doesn't know what exactly is causing that noise. Connie yells at Mushi to be quiet or he will extend her grounding, and Genki then enters the kitchen, and she tells Connie that the least they can do is let Mushi play in her room while she is grounded. Connie responds that he needs concentration in order to create the perfect sundaes for their dinner guests, and Connie mentions how he went to great lengths to find the best of the best when it comes to ice cream, bananas, and chocolate sauce. But then Connie realizes that he forgot the chocolate sauce, and he begins to wonder how he will complete the sundaes now. Genki then enters the dining room to tell number 3 and their dinner guests, the Gilligan family, that there isn't any chocolate sauce, but she suggests that someone go out and get some, and most of the characters at the table right now volunteer to go get the chocolate sauce. The only characters not volunteering are Lydia and number 2. Number 2 in particular is really trying not to bring attention to himself, but despite number 2's best efforts, Genki decides that number 2 will be the one to go get the chocolate sauce. Number 2 tries to discourage Genki from this decision by commenting about how he has, in his words, a thing with chocolate sauce, but Lydia interrupts number 2 before he can explain further, and Lydia starts to hit number 2 on the head with her cane and demands that he go get the chocolate sauce, so number 2 begrudgingly does so. After number 2 leaves, Lydia begins to tell stories about what she used to eat for dessert when she was younger, but the examples that she brings up are not actual food. Metal shavings is one of the examples that she brings up. While Lydia is telling these stories, we see that the power of the Sanban home is starting to act wonky, and this is because of a machine that Mushi has created, and she's attached Count Spankulot to this machine. Mushi comments along the lines about how once this machine activates, Count Spankulot won't be doing any spanking anymore, and with that said, Mushi activates the machine, which causes a power out not just for the Sanban home, but for most of the town, if not the entire town. At the very least, the power out seems to have affected the grocery store that number 2 has gone to, because the lights are out in this grocery store, and number 2 needs to use a flashlight to see where he's going and to find the chocolate sauce. It also looks like number 2 is the only one in the grocery store right now. While number 2 searches, he begins to narrate and explain what he was trying to explain earlier. What is his thing with chocolate sauce? According to number 2's narration, number 2 loves chocolate sauce. There was one point in the past where number 2 had chocolate sauce for all of his meals, and he even had chocolate sauce for times outside of meal times. It got to the point where number 2 had to drop chocolate sauce. Eventually, number 2 does find some chocolate sauce, and he makes his way towards one of the checkout lanes. We, the viewers, see a shadowy figure is in the grocery store. Number 2 doesn't see this shadowy figure, but he does get the suspicion that someone else is in the grocery store with him. And number 2 calls out to see if anyone will respond back. No one does. And number 2 calls out again to say that he's going to leave money on the counter to pay for the chocolate sauce, and he proceeds to do so. And when number 2 exits the grocery store, we see that the store is called Beluga's Grocery. Beluga is the last name of Joe Beluga, a character who appeared in the Season 3 segment, Operation Pink Eye. And sure enough, Joe Beluga is out in the parking lot of the grocery store. He's also with a boy by the name of Stewie. Number 2's narration explains that after the events of Operation Pink Eye, in Operation Pink Eye, Joe Beluga was exposed to be working with Nurse Claiborne. Yes, after Joe Beluga was exposed working with Nurse Claiborne with regards to her pink eye operation, from Operation Pink Eye naturally, Joe Beluga could only find work patrolling the parking lot of his dad's grocery store. Stewie is Joe's assistant with patrolling the parking lot. Joe snatches the chocolate sauce from number 2, and he brings up number 2's past history with chocolate sauce, and he also accuses number 2 of stealing the chocolate sauce. Number 2 comments along the lines about how the past is in the past, and he adds that he didn't steal the chocolate sauce, he left money on the counter, and he encourages Joe to go check for himself if he doesn't believe him. Joe instead instructs Stewie to go check to see if there's money on the counter. Stewie is nervous, however, because it's dark in the grocery store, but Joe orders Stewie to go into the grocery store and check. So Stewie does so, but he's notably nervous. And a few seconds later, number 2 and Joe hear Stewie screaming. Joe pulls out a water gun balloon, or a water balloon gun, yes, pardon me. Joe pulls out a water balloon gun, and he accuses number 2 of having an accomplice. And then the shadowy figure from earlier emerges from the grocery store, and we see that the shadowy figure is the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey. And yes, the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is now giant-sized. Yes, the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is reanimated, giant-sized, and now has furniture for some limbs, such as the arms, for example. And yes, so this giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is giving Stewie a wedgie, and then he spanks Stewie before tossing him somewhere else. And then the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey grabs Joe, he gives Joe a wedgie, spanks Joe for a while, and then throws Joe somewhere else. And the chocolate sauce is dropped. Joe drops the chocolate sauce during this situation. And then the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey sees number 2 and remembers Mushi's instructions to find and spank number 2. So the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey tries to chases after number 2. Number 2 picks up the chocolate sauce, and he runs towards a fenced area that's right next to the grocery store. Later dialogue calls this fenced area an electrical substation. But yes, number 2 gets through the fence, number 2 gets to the electrical substation, and the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey chases him into the electrical substation. And the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey manages to grab number 2. Number 2 then recognizes that this is the same Posh Party Rainbow Monkey that number 3 brought over for dinner in Operation Clues, and he inquires what happened to the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey. This causes the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey to stop for a moment and think back to the events of Operation Clues. Number 2 also brings up how he remembers that the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is supposed to have real care and share sighing, and he encourages the giant Rainbow Monkey to do so with a hug. Yes, number 2 encourages the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey to hug him. The giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is hesitant at first, but then he agrees to go through with the hug. So yes, number 2 and the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey are hugging each other, and the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey lets out a real care and share sigh. Joe, however, interrupts the moment. Joe got his bearings back after being spanked, and he launches a water balloon towards the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey. This causes the Rainbow Monkey to get caught in the wiring of the electrical substation, and the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is then electrocuted naturally. This causes the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey to return to normal, or yes, the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey is normal sized now and no longer reanimated and looks to be a bit damaged. Number 2 grabs the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey and he returns to the Sanban home. Oh, and number 2 dropped the chocolate sauce when Joe attacked. I should mention that too. So, number 2 returns to the Sanban home. Lydia questions where the chocolate sauce is, but number 2 says along the lines of how this isn't the time, he's got to go see Mushi. Connie yells at number 2 for returning to the Sanban home without chocolate sauce, but number 2 grabs Connie by the tie, pulls him down, and he quietly, but with an angry tone, tells him to be quiet. Connie obliges while number 2 walks up the stairs. Connie then answers the door, and yes, someone's at the door, so Connie answers the door, and he sees that Joe and Stewie are at the door. Stewie still looks to be in pain from the giant Posh Party Rainbow Monkey's attack. Joe gives Connie the chocolate sauce, and he explains that he wanted to apologize to number 2 for accusing him of stealing. Yes, he wants to apologize to number 2 for the earlier accusations of stealing because he found the money on the counter. And however, before Joe can finish his apology speech, Connie just slams the door on Joe and Stewie because he doesn't care. He's got the chocolate sauce now, so he can finish the sundaes now. So number 2 enters Mushi's room, and he inquires Mushi about why she reanimated the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey to attack him. Mushi gives the simple answer that this is about revenge for what happened in Operation Clues, and she decides that she will have to enact her revenge herself rather than have someone else do her dirty work for her. Number 2 says that he isn't going to fight a kindergartner, but he reconsiders when he sees that Mushi isn't backing down. Mushi then launches a barrage of crayons towards number 2, but these are not ordinary crayons. They're very sharp crayons. They can actually puncture holes through doors. That's how sharp they are. So number 2 runs into Mushi's closet to hide, and he finds Count Spankulot is also in Mushi's closet. Count Spankulot senses his spanking power still within the Rainbow Monkey. So, like a vampire, he bites the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey. Mushi is walking closer to her closet door, intending to launch another barrage of crayons towards number 2. But Mushi sees her closet door open, and Count Spankulot makes a speech where he announces that his powers have been restored. Count Spankulot then proceeds to spank Mushi, and then he turns to number 2. At first, his sentence sounds threatening at first, but then it quickly ends on a cheerful note because Count Spankulot was merely telling number 2 that he wants to join the dinner party. So yes, Count Spankulot joins the Gilligan family and the Sanban family, besides Mushi, for this dinner party, and he's enjoying the sundaes with everyone else who's present right now for the dinner. And yes, so Count Spankulot has joined them for the sundaes, and Count Spankulot also reminisces about what he used to eat for dessert when he was younger, and this leads to Lydia and Count Spankulot trying to one-up each other. The examples they bring up are tadpoles and toenails, for example, but they also seem to be bonding over their banter. And while everyone else is distracted by Count Spankulot and Lydia's banter, number 2 narrates about how Mushi got 5 consecutive groundings for life and no dessert. But number 2 admits that he's a softie, so while everyone's distracted, number 2 goes upstairs to give Mushi his sundae, but when he opens the door to Mushi's room, number 2 sees that King Sandy is helping Mushi to escape. And the Knights of the Round Towel are pulling a chariot that King Sandy and Mushi are on. Mushi declares that she will get revenge on number 2 again at a later time. And then the segment ends with Count Spankulot and Lydia continuing their banter over what they had to eat for dessert when they were younger. So, like this segment's sibling segment, this segment features number 2 as the spotlight character. And like this segment's sibling segment, only one other Sector V operative besides number 2 appears in this segment. And in the case of this segment, number 3 is the other Sector V operative. So in both segments of episode 62, number 1 and number 4 do not appear at all in episode 62. And I found that amusing because there was an earlier season 5 episode where only number 4 appeared in the A segment and only number 1 appeared in the B segment. So again, that I found that to be rather amusing. Now, otherwise, besides that, the main detail about this segment is that it is a sequel to the season 4 segment, Operation Clues, which was where Mushi became a villain and when Mushi became number 2's archenemy, or at least she became one of number 2's archenemies, if you consider Mr. Fizz to be another archenemy for number 2. But yes, Mushi planned revenge against number 2 by reanimating the Posh Party Rainbow Monkey that she stabbed, and giving that Posh Party Rainbow Monkey Count Spankulot's spanking powers. And there is actually an interesting detail about this story that Tom Warburton mentions on one of his blog posts. So according to Tom Warburton's blog post, this story was actually originally intended to be a full episode, and it was actually intended to be a Thanksgiving episode. Tom Warburton explained that some differences or some details that differed between this initial version of the story compared to the final version of the story was that the sauce that number 2 had a past history with was going to be cranberry sauce. And Tom Warburton also clarified that the spanking powers in this original version of the story, the spanking powers were going to be transferred to all the ovens in the town, and this was to create an army of reanimated turkeys with spanking powers. So yes, Tom Warburton had explained in this blog post that the executives didn't go through with this idea because they thought that the idea sounded more like a Halloween entry rather than a Thanksgiving entry. And apparently the executives didn't go through with this idea after the episode was already written. So Tom Warburton was bummed out about it, but he did comment that he was still able to at least present a version of this story with the version we got, the segment version that isn't focused on Thanksgiving. And so that was an interesting detail. I admit I would have liked to have seen the full episode version of this story because I thought it would have been cool to have a Thanksgiving entry because we had a Halloween entry and we had a Christmas entry for Codename Kids Next Door. So I do agree it would have been nice to see a Thanksgiving entry. But I still thought that the story, the final version of the story turned out well all the same. Now, another detail is the return of Joe Beluga. Like it was mentioned in the recap, Joe Beluga first appeared in Season 3's Operation Pink Eye, and his actions in that segment, where he was working with Nurse Claiborne with regards to her pink eye operation, led to him only being able to find work patrolling the parking lot of his dad's grocery store. And in both of Joe's appearances, though, Joe does show some good qualities, even if he comes off initially antagonistic and a bit of a jerk. Like in Operation Pink Eye, Joe did save number 2 from Nurse Claiborne when she was about to launch the pink eye virus towards number 2. And in this segment, at first Joe accused number 2 of stealing the chocolate sauce, but later on, Joe did see the money on the counter, and he actually went to the Sanban home to give them the chocolate sauce and to apologize to number 2. You could say the moment was kind of ruined by Connie slamming the door in his face just because he cared more about the chocolate sauce, but I still thought that was a good gesture on Joe's part to actually try to apologize to number 2 for his earlier accusation. I thought that was like I said, that was a good way to show how Joe can be a bit of a jerk and a bit antagonistic, but he still has some good qualities to him. And yes, it's a good lesson in real life. I mean, being able to admit your mistakes is an important lesson in real life. I mean, it's definitely harder to admit your mistakes than to have a never my fault mentality. So yes, it takes great character to admit your faults and your mistakes, and I can respect Joe for being willing to admit his flaws, even if Connie kind of interrupted the moment. But yeah, I thought that was a good showing for Joe's character, to show that he does still have good qualities despite being mostly presented like a jerk. And the other detail with this segment was yes, the ending of this segment was pretty important, or towards the ending of the segment, we see that King Sandy has helped Mushi to escape. And so Mushi is with King Sandy and the Knights of the Round Towel. This ties in with Season 3's Operation Castle, where King Sandy no longer has feelings towards number 3, and instead he now has feelings towards Mushi, and Mushi does return those feelings towards King Sandy. So yes, and Mushi did say that she would get revenge on number 2, or try to get revenge on number 2 again at a later time. Now, I should mention this now. Yes, I might as well bring it up now, but we don't get to see Mushi's next attempt at revenge towards number 2 in the series itself. King Sandy and Mushi's next appearances are cameos in the series finale. Having said that, though, we still do get to see Mushi's second attempt at revenge towards number 2. It's just not in the TV series itself. Yes, that's right. One of the comics issues actually addresses this storyline. Yes, there's a comics issue where we get to see Mushi and King Sandy working together to try and get revenge on number 2. The issue is called Operation Bounce. Operation Bounce is the name of the comics issue that continues that storyline for Mushi and King Sandy, for anyone who's curious. Now, the other detail about this segment that I liked was Count Spankulot and Lydia's banter with each other. Yes, I thought that was pretty hilarious. I never would have expected Count Spankulot and Lydia, of all characters, to interact with each other. But yes, they did interact. It was unexpected to see those two characters interact with each other, but their banter was also hilarious. And I thought it was pretty funny and, yeah, maybe even a little heartwarming how Lydia and Count Spankulot were bonding by their banter over trying to one-up each other over what they used to eat for dessert when they were younger. So that was a surprising but still a funny moment. And otherwise, that might be about it. So I thought that this was a fun sequel to Operation Clues. It was cool that we got to see the Sanban home. And yes, the Sanbans inviting the Gilligans over for dinner was pretty heartwarming. It shows how the parents, yes, how the Sanban parents warmed up to Betty and the Gilligan family overall after the events of Operation Clues. And I also liked, like I said, I also did like how number 2 got another spotlight appearance, and he got to face off against one of his archenemies, Mushi, or his only archenemy, depending on if you want to count Mr. Fizz as an archenemy or not. And otherwise, yes, I thought the cliffhanger with King Sandy helping Mushi to escape was pretty cool. And it was nice that they did continue that storyline, even if it wasn't in the TV series itself. Otherwise, yeah, I do wish that we got to see the full episode version, the Thanksgiving version of this episode, so we could have another of this entry, yes. I wish we could have seen the Thanksgiving version of this entry, so we could have a Thanksgiving entry for the series, but I think that the final version still turned out well all the same. And otherwise, yes, there were some funny moments like Count Spankulot and Lydia's bonding, and I did like some heartwarming moments like Joe admitting his mistakes. But otherwise, there we go for now. So as of this video, we've now discussed the B segment of episode 62 of Codename Kids Next Door on this channel. Take care, and until next time.